So today we're demystifying liberating structures, starting with a wicked question. How is it that a tiny bit of structure has the power to actually liberate conversations and interactions? Any thoughts?
Yeah, sounds funny, doesn't it? I mean, if you're not into liberating structures, I think it's really confusing sometimes. And it could even sound a little bit as, what cult is this?
Yeah, that was exactly the experience I had. Before I got into liberating structures, I heard people in the movement talk about it using that funny language, liberating structures, all the term they have, creative destruction, ecocycle, wicked questions. And it felt like, yeah, who are these people? It felt really a bit pretentious, a bit strange. And it really put me off to some extent, actually. Then it was
The nice thing is, I mean, I admit I still have difficulties explaining liberating structures because you just have to do it. As soon as you start to do it, people get it immediately. It's actually quite easy and simple to do liberating structures and to feel this liberating power and the magic behind. But as soon as you get into language, I admit it's really sometimes a little bit difficult.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, and sometimes it's actually even better not to introduce the language itself precisely for that, so you don't put people off. But there is actually an interesting notion behind that paradox of liberating structure, and it's something that the repertoire has actually created against some established formats that, as you can see behind me, are either over-controlled, over-structured, like a presentation or a managed discussion where only one or a couple of people are talking and everyone else is listening passively, all the way to the under-controlled, under-structured, like an open discussion, which indeed the liberating structure folks would describe as a goat rodeo. And what liberating structures tries to do is to bring back unlock the magic by using just enough structure to liberate the way that people can find their flow.
Yeah, it's a sweet spot, isn't it? You have to find the sweet spot in between, and then creative thinking is possible. I mean, it's a little bit of free jazz. That's the comparison that's often used, and I think it's quite that, because with a little bit of structures and a little bit of boundaries, you really can free up energy and bring creative ideas to the table.
Yeah. And I have to say also on as a side note, for once you're in that repertoire, the language itself, if you share it with other people, it makes a whole lot of sense also. And actually, because it gives you lenses that you perhaps didn't have before liberating structures. And I think that once it's shared, it really reveals its power to look at things together in a very, very fresh, very different, very liberating way, indeed.
Mm-hmm. And what plays a key role also, and it's not only about what's coming out and what you do together, but also how you do it, how you have the conversation. And it creates, for me, that's the power of liberating structures. It creates an atmosphere immediately, putting people in conversation, and everybody really feels seen, heard, and respected. And all these perspectives that people bring to the table are heard and are seen and are respected. That really makes it powerful. And this is also an aspect of liberating structures.
Yeah. So it's maybe worth a while basically sitting with the discomfort of the language and get into that bubble to actually realize it's super practical. It's really empowering. It's really unleashing everyone's genius together.
Mm-hmm. So are you curious? Tune in. More will come.